Rejoice, ye penny-pinching nerds, rejoice! For this is a season unbound by our bank accounts, unfettered by fees. A legendary age of liberty. This is the summer of free! Hey, Peter Franson here from Spirit Blade Productions and christiangeekcentral.com. Back for more Summer of Free. Now, last time I did this segment, I was crunched for time. I only gave you 3 video games, and so I wanted to come back before moving on to other types of free geek entertainment. I wanted to come back to video games and give you a little bit more this time. There's actually one that I left off of the list last time that was like I had prepared to kind of mention, and for some reason I totally spaced and forgot to mention it last time. So let's start with Alien Swarm, that you can check out at alienswarm.com. This one you can get for free on Steam. The game, as the description reads, thrusts players into an epic bug hunt featuring a unique blend of co-op play and squad-level tactics. With your friends, form a squad of 4 distinct IAF Marine classes. Plan your attack using an unlockable arsenal of weapons with countless loadout configurations against a wide variety of aliens. Blaze your way through an overrun off-world colony, eradicating the alien infestation in environments ranging from the icy planet's surface to a subterranean lava-flooded mining facility. The features mentioned here on the page include tactical 4-player co-op action game with a top-down perspective, complete game code and mod tools. You can unlock persistent items by gaining levels, over 40 weapons and equipment with countless loadout configurations, 4 unique classes and 8 unique characters, matchmaking, Steam Cloud, Steam Stats, 64 achievements, tile-based map generation tool, and it's powered by Source and Steam. So anyway, more information on Alien Swarm at alienswarm.com. Next up, now this one has been around for a long time. A lot of people already know about this game. It's called Cave Story, and this is inspired very much by the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo generation of games. It's a side-scrolling game that is compared to Metroid, Castlevania, Mega Man, Blaster Master, and Monster Mash. It's got like I think some kind of like from what I can tell, I haven't played it myself, some kind of like a leveling up ability. Maybe that's your weapons leveling up. I'm not sure if that's your weapons or your character that's leveling up, but there's tons of items that you can find. There's a bunch of bosses. This is a highly celebrated free indie game for just the quality of work that is represented here, and is reportedly also pretty long for a free indie game. So anyway, if you're into any of those kinds of games that it's inspired by, you might want to check out Cave Story. I've heard just tons of great things about that one. Next up, Minnie DayZ. Cave Story you can find more about at cavestory.org. Cavestory.org. All right, Minnie DayZ, which you can find at DayZ, as in DAYZ, dayz.com/minidayz. And the description for this one reads, experience the zombie-infested Charnarus. I don't know what that word means. From an entirely new perspective, welcome to Minnie DayZ. Based on DayZ SA, which maybe stands for Standard Edition, I don't know, the critically acclaimed open-world survival horror MMO by Bohemia Interactive, Minnie DayZ is a 2D top-down game where you must fight for survival in a harsh, post-apocalyptic landscape. Search for the food and supplies needed to stay alive, keep clear of the ever-lurking zombies, and always be vigilant of the other desperate survivors. This is your story. This is Minnie DayZ. I believe this started out as a fan project that was then adopted officially by the creator of DayZ. So anyway, this one has a single player mode, so even though it's based on an MMO, and I think there is multiplayer in this Minnie DayZ as well, it can also be played and is maybe even originally designed to be a single player game, as a single player experience. So the MMOs don't interest me at all, but in just seeing some of the video footage of this game, it definitely has like a top down. The sprites are not very large at all, but I think that's in some ways nice because it shows you a larger, open area. But it's definitely the graphics I would compare it to like Super Nintendo era, but not in that style. I mean, I think they're probably even a little bit better than Super Nintendo era. I think the Super Nintendo graphics look a lot better in our memory than they do in reality. But anyway, this is it's not like a rich, beautiful game to look at, but the kind of artwork that is used is fitting for the kind of stark post-apocalyptic slash zombie type of theme. So this one definitely has my attention. It looks like it's kind of a action, exploration, survival type game from a top-down perspective. So again, daisy.com/Minnie Daisy is where you can get more information about Minnie Daisy. All right, moving on now to my annual pilgrimage to rpgmaker.net, where I go every year as I get ready to celebrate the Summer of Free to look for free video game options, specifically JRPG inspired or styled video game options. They have a growing list of games there, and I may later this summer or maybe wait till next year feature some games on rpgmaker.net that are not inspired by JRPGs, but they're using this engine to create different types of gaming experiences. There's a growing number of those kinds of games. Well, so anyway, first off, I would just recommend, if you just want to like kill some time instead of, sitting and stewing and thinking, oh, maybe I should spend some money that I really shouldn't spend responsibly, just spend the night browsing rpgmaker.net, and that's like a full evening experience to itself. But if you don't want to take the time to do that, then here's a few that caught my eye. The first one would be Nocturne Rebirth. And this is evidently it's based it's a translation of a Japanese RPG Maker game that is already apparently very popular. This one has received, though, the English translated version alone has received over 4,000 downloads. And it's the description reads that Nocturne Rebirth is a popular 10 to 20 hour story-wise dark fantasy JRPG, originally created using RPG Maker XP in 2009. It's now been translated to English. It's the remake of the game Nocturne, created in 2002. The differences between the two include new graphics and a new battle system, with only the story virtually unchanged. So this is, let's see, it's notable, as it says on its page, for a highly original ATB battle system, ATB standing for Active Time Battle. So it's turn-based, but there's still kind of like a time-sensitive element to making your choices. Touch-based enemy encounters, and as I looked at gameplay footage, I take that to mean, this is not a touch-screen game, but that you encounter enemies when you touch them. So probably similar in some ways to Chrono Trigger, although that one I think you just had to kind of get in proximity to them for combat to start. So this one, it sounds like there's not random battles. So if you don't like that about JRPGs, then you don't have to fear that in Nocturne Rebirth. Slick battle animations, and they do look really cool. Like all the custom sprites and the way they move during the combat is it's really cool looking. Not at all what I would expect from an RPG Maker game. Let's see, a highly versatile character leveling system via skill upgrades, and yeah, I've seen this thing has like skill trees, and it's got some interesting systems that I'm very curious to kind of dig into and check out. This might be a game that I play during the Retro Free Game live stream next week, which again is Friday, the 8th of July from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific. If you want to tune in for that, I think I'm going to try and do it on YouTube. So the YouTube channel for that would be youtube.com/christiangeekcentral. I'll try to plug that again later on. Let's see here. What else did they say? Unique familiar summon system, almost 100% custom graphics, which is always nice from an RPG Maker game. Characters that players can sympathize with. Well, we'll see. It's pretty hard to get me to sympathize with any video game characters. Unique soundtracks and so much more. So anyway, that is Nocturne Rebirth, and it would be the URL is going to be too much to remember. I would just recommend going to rpgmaker.net and just putting in Nocturne, Nocturne, Nocturne Rebirth, and that ought to get you to the page you're looking for there. The next one from rpgmaker.net is Valthion Arc 2, which Just the title alone sounds like a very, lost in translation JRPG game title. And it's clearly inspired, by Japanese games of some kind. But this is actually like an academy simulation where you are the principal of this academy. It's your job to guide your students during their hunt quests and send them to perform various errands and overall lead your academy to become the best in all of Valthyria. And you're building rooms in your academy. You're sending your students out on missions, and when they go out in missions, it's a top-down Super Nintendo style perspective, and it seems to be some kind of like a real-time battle system. So if you're not into the turn-based kind of RPGs, then you might give this one a try. It has an overall very bright, colorful, happy tone to it, which is really not my type of game. But all of the custom artwork, the custom menus and interfaces and stuff that I see as I look at screenshots and other things for this game, it just looks like quality stuff. And again, for a free game, it definitely has my attention, and maybe will make me curious enough to download it. This one has received over 9,000 downloads, so that alone should tell you that a lot of people found this worth checking out. Valthion Arc. Let me spell this for you if you're listening to the podcast. Valthian. Valthian Arc 2. At rpgmaker.net. Next up at rpgmaker.net is Wine and Roses, and this is a turn-based JRPG with a dark kind of gothic setting, first-person combat, so it's more like Dragon Quest than, say, Final Fantasy. You don't see your guys, standing on the right side of the screen while the bad guys are on the left. It's more like Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, where the bad guys are, you see them face on in the middle of the screen, and like at most you have character portraits down at the bottom. And this one has a sanity system, which as you're attacking, your sanity is reduced, and I guess bad things happen when it gets to the bottom. I actually kind of like that, in addition to just worrying about the usual health or mana or something in RPGs, to have this sanity system, especially fitting for like a dark setting like this. It has kind of like an H.P. Lovecraft kind of vibe to it, and that's a system that I've really enjoyed in the Shadow Hearts games, and so it's employing a similar type of system and a very dark kind of fairly, I guess, serious tone, or at least visually it looks that way. I haven't played this one either, but this one looks really cool. The features listed include a sprawling fortress to explore and unearth the secrets of powerful demons that will destroy you unless you outsmart them. Over 30 unique battles narrated by a witty and noble skeleton. Well, we'll see. That might get annoying to me. Depends on what style of humor it is. Flexible, deep, and non-permanent customization of your Exorcist trio, and a dark and intense soundtrack by Devil Sheep and Clearside. So anyway, that one looks really interesting. It's gotten 11,431 downloads. So that alone kind of put it on my radar a little bit. But as I looked at it, it has other things that match my sensibilities as well. Next up, the last game at rpgmaker.net is Lunar Wish, Orbs of Fate. Now this one is about a 12-hour RPG, again JRPG styled. It doesn't have as much kind of custom graphics compared to some of the other games that I've mentioned so far today. But what it does have is an ensemble cast approach to storytelling, where there's no like chief main character, but it's told, the story is told, emphasizing character growth in an ensemble cast, and that it seems to be like that's the main focus, is the story and these characters, and kind of there is a combat system, there is battle, and I think there's even mentioned like a higher difficulty mode that like more experienced RPG makers can use. I could be wrong about that, but that seemed to be what they're describing in the summary here. But the main focus seems to be about story, and they actually, in the main mode of the game, tried to simplify character development and combat so that really anybody, even people that are not normally into RPGs, could get into this game and appreciate kind of the story and what they're doing with it. Now, again, this is probably not the kind of game that would normally attract my attention, but, just the number of downloads got my attention. This one has received 10,174 downloads at the time of this recording. So a lot of people have at least been curious enough to check this one out. So and it was the date it was completed is 2013. So it's not like it's accrued those downloads just for being on RPG Maker forever and ever and ever. It's a fairly only 3 years ago about recent games. So anyway, Lunar Wish Orbs of Fate at rpgmaker.net. All right, moving on away to a different website, The Curse of Isios, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's old and Greek and strange to my uncultured American ears, so I'm just going to say Isios, Issyos. The Curse of Issyos. Just do a search for that title, The Curse of Isios, and you're more likely to find the game than for me to give you the weird URL that it's found at. But the plot is listed as saying a Defcalion was fishing on a quiet blue sea when he heard the voice of the goddess Athena. "Hurry up," she said. "The Isle of Isios has been cursed by the Olympus." There's an extra word in there. And so, fearing for his daughter and only family left, the fisherman sails back to his home where the adventure is about to begin. Yes, that's some strange things going on in the description there. The Curse of Isios is a retro-styled, and luckily the game is not this kind of like plot, this kind of reading type of experience. It's a side-scrolling action game that is based very heavily on Nintendo-era graphics. In fact, it really seems to be limiting itself to the visual capabilities of the original Nintendo Entertainment System. The Curse of Isios, it says, is a retro-styled action platformer with nothing but the usual in an old-bit game. A bunch of enemies and bosses, both straight and exploration levels, some secrets to discover, and a background story of Greek myths. It doesn't try to mimic a retro system in particular, but it is coherent with its own limitations in the use of colors, sprites, and chip sounds. The soundtrack has been composed by Jigryzor87 using Pixel Maya's PX. I don't know what that means, and it probably doesn't mean anything to you. But in looking at the screenshots and then a gameplay video of this, I was like, this looks cool. If you're into like Greek mythology and side-scrolling action games of the NES era, this one I've heard is just a very polished game. And so I would, if that sounds cool to you, check out The Curse of Isios, Issyos. All right, that was a lot of games, but hopefully there's something in there that that caught your eye and that you'll be able to go check out and enjoy and allow you to make better use of your resources as you kind of save up your fun money for the next big thing that is coming down the line. But until then, I hope you enjoyed checking this out. More Summer of Free coming your way. Thanks for watching. You can support this channel, especially right about now, by joining the Thunderclap for the audio drama that's about to be released from Spirit Blade Productions, the parent of Christian Geek Central. I'll put the link, I hope, in the description below for our Thunderclap campaign. And then, as always, I hope you join us at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. christiangeekcentral.com